An alleged tragic mistake. The key word in here is alleged. A new rifle mounted drone buster, which is very cool. And kids, oh man, kids can now buy cross sex hormones online in minutes. Kids, yeah, you will not believe this story. Welcome to the Jay Sheldon Show. Oh my goodness, happy Thursday. Thank goodness it's only Thursday, huh? We got one more day to get through, and that one better go well, because I'm about at the end of my rope. Can you tell? Oh, man. Anyway, it's just my life. I share a part of it with you, and I hope you appreciate that. It's great to have you. I really, seriously, I love having you guys here. Great to hear from you. And if you just happened across the show because for some reason somebody recommended it to you or it showed up in your feed, thanks for popping by. Just do me one quick favor. It's free. Hit the follow button. Or if you're on YouTube, you can hit the subscribe button. By the way, great news. We have gone over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Yes, thank you very much. We hit over matter of fact, we're almost at 1,100. That is fantastic. Thank you so much, guys. I really, really appreciate that. You have no idea how much that means to me. So fantastic news on YouTube. Way over 1,000 subscribers. Good news. All right. Danny asked about this yesterday, and indeed, it is a story, and it's not a small one. An alleged tragic mistake is being weaponized to handcuff the U.S. military and to discredit Pete Hegseth, Secretary in charge of the Department of War. An alleged missile strike apparently, they say, hit an elementary school at Shajara Tayyib, Iran, February 28th. Now, everything we know about this attack, this is very important, listen tight, everything we know about this alleged attack comes from Iranian sources. No neutral investigation, no fact-finding, and yet good old New York Times going full bore Covington kids on this issue. This attack, nothing more than a stalking horse aimed at reimposing the crazy, stupid, hyper-legal rules that frankly cost us 2 defeats. They are also aimed at discrediting Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, give men the pointy end of the spear, the ability to fight without waiting for some Eugene Vindman type to get off the toilet and make a ruling. Listen to this absolute garbage reporting from the New York Times. February 28th strike on the elementary school building, the result of a targeting mistake by the U.S. military, which was conducting strikes on an adjacent Iranian base of which the school building was formerly a part, the preliminary investigation found. Again, this is all from Iranian sources. Officers at U.S. Central Command created the large target coordinates for the strike using outdated data provided by the Defense Intelligence Agency, people briefed on the investigation said. Officials emphasized the findings were preliminary and that there are important unanswered questions about why this outdated information, nobody double-checked it. Again, this is still the Times story. Striking a full school of children is sure to be recorded as one of the most devastating single military errors in recent decades, acting as if this actually happened when it has not been proven yet. Iranian officials said the death toll was at least 175 people, most of them children. Okay? Now, let's review the bidding on what we know. There, we're finished. No, that's it. That's all we know. Nothing. Let's take a look, though, at what we're supposed to believe. The Iranian government press produced an image of an alleged Tomahawk cruise missile moments before it hit a target. At that time, smoke could be seen rising from the alleged school site, and from that, we're supposed to believe it was a U.S. strike. Here is that particular piece of footage. Take a look. There you go. Okay. They wrote, new video footage shows a U.S. Tomahawk missile hitting the IRGC facility in Manab, Iran, February 28th, showing for the first time the U.S. struck the area. Did you see that in that piece of footage? Don't think so. There is no way, first of all, to determine if this is real or AI slop, which it very well could be. And even if it is real, it means that an IRGC base was hit, which is sort of the point of why we're shooting missiles. The Iranian government is claiming a death toll of at least 175 people, most of them children. No neutral observer has seen the bodies. No uninvolved observer has counted them. When a neutral party did some research, they found a lot of the alleged victims had no records at the school that they were students. A couple of days ago, Tehran Times published a list of 100 children supposedly killed in the Manab school strike. But a closer examination of the names raises some serious questions about the authenticity of the list. The Iranian government also produced what it claims to be images of missile fragments from the school. We don't have the video of the fragments being discovered. That apparently doesn't exist. Oh, but there's a verifiable chain of custody. Not surprised, there are Tomahawk missile fragments strewn probably all across Iran at this point. So it wouldn't be too hard to just step out your door and grab a few. What these don't prove is that they came from the school. There is nothing that shows they did. As of now, no images of the point of impact have been displayed, which is something you would expect to see. Here's the alleged Tomahawk missile remnants they say was discovered at the school. There have been other objections to the images in that video, leading you to believe it is possibly AI slop. JT Alexander over on X says, this video obviously a fake to anyone who's actually any idea of what they're looking like. TLAMs are 18 feet long and impact targets at 550 miles an hour. They carry either an HE anti-ship cluster or nuclear warhead. That video depicts an approximately, where are we going here? An approximately 30-foot object traveling far below the speed, carrying clearly no warhead. Very obviously not anti-ship cluster, obviously not nuclear, leaving high explosives the only possible alternative. And if you've ever seen an HE warhead, high explosives, HE, obviously it ain't that. The smoke rises way too slowly. There's no fireball, which with an HE warhead there should be. But the absolute easiest tell in this piece of footage, if you actually know anything about this region, is that it was published by Mer News. It is incredible how much journalistic skepticism leaves people's bodies when a journalist is opposed to Israel. Let me just go back and there we go. There's that footage again. You see right in the very beginning, you allegedly see the missile. Let's see if I can just back it up a little bit. There, you see right there? Right above the tree line? That's allegedly the missile, but obviously not. You got to remember the nature of these morons that we're fighting. 1978, agents of the Islamic Revolution drove the Shah of Iran from power, chained the doors of the Cinema Rex in Abadan, Iran together, chained the doors together, and set it on fire. Killed an estimated 470 people inside that cinema. The allies of the Ayatollah Khomeini then blamed it on Savak, the Shah's secret police. New York Times, more crap. Listen. While the overall finding was largely expected, the U.S. is the only country involved in the conflict that uses Tomahawk missiles. It already casts a shadow on the U.S. military operation in Iran. President Trump's attempts to sidestep the blame for the strike have also already complicated the inquiry, leaving officials who've reviewed the findings showing U.S. culpability expressing unease. The people interviewed for this story spoke on the condition of anonymity, of course, citing the sensitive nature of the ongoing investigation. Again, this is the Times writing. And Mr. Trump's assertion at one point that Iran, not the U.S., was responsible. It gets worse. To be clear, during war, folks, sorry, but the reality is shit happens. People who aren't targeted get killed. It happens all the time. It's sad. It shouldn't be, but it is. That's just the reality of war. If this attack happens as it's described by Iran, well, that's a huge if at this stage. But we need to own the mistake. There's no doubt about it. If we can't let happen one mishap, one tragic step out of 400 missile strikes, change the way we fight the war. That's unfortunately what the Times and other outlets are after. That's what they're trying to do. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth unleashed the warfighters to do their job. And that's why the Iran attack has unfolded as it has. That vision is a threat to the academics, the lawyers who become accustomed to inserting their fat, pimply butts into combat operations when they have no idea what it's like or what's going on. We had 200 people in the Pentagon devoted to limiting risks to civilians. How does that even work? Why would we want that to exist? The fact that our Secretary of Defense, again, I believe this is from Politico, cannot actually tell us whether or not they dropped a bomb in this location, that is so unbelievably unacceptable, says Wes Bryant, Pentagon's former chief of civilian harm assessments. It just points out even more recklessness in the entire planning and execution of this campaign. Shut up and sit down. Call me reckless, but honestly, I don't care. As far as I'm concerned, so long as we weren't deliberately targeting civilians, it's war, folks. Shit happens. The bottom line is that none of the people getting their panties in a twist over this alleged attack, they don't really care about the attack. They don't. They care about using the attack as a starting point for a narrative aimed at bringing military operations back under the control of people who don't care about war. All they care about is rules. Iraq, Afghanistan, we had rules of engagement that permitted firing only if the enemy fired first. Those rules killed and maimed a ton of young men and women from America as the jihadists, the Taliban, were attacking them. If a team of neutral investigators visits this site, determines these allegations, which at the moment only come from Iran, if they determine they're true, apologize, promise to be more careful in the future, and away we go. What we cannot let happen is the way we are fighting this war be changed by absolutely, at this point, unsubstantiated allegations from the people we're fighting. That can't happen. It can't. Remember, we've been talking about how it's getting a bit dangerous right here in this country. Well, there are stories after stories talking about exactly that. The FBI is now warning Iran is planning a drone attack on California in retaliation for U.S. strikes. Told you many times, Iran has a very bad habit of having its mouth write checks its butt can't cash. And this just may be another case of that, but it is alarming nevertheless. FBI issued a warning that Iran has apparently planned to carry out a drone strike against the American West Coast. FBI warning police departments in California in recent days that Iran could retaliate for American attacks by launching drones at the West Coast, according to an alert sent out. We recently acquired information as of early February 2026, this year, just a month ago. Iran allegedly aspired to conduct a surprise attack using unmanned aerial vehicles from an unidentified vessel off the coast of the U.S. homeland, specifically looking to hit unspecified targets in California. The event that the U.S. conducted strikes against Iran, according to the alert, says we have no additional information on the timing, the method, the target, or the perpetrators of this alleged attack. Now, here's the thing. Iran doesn't have a navy left. It's all at the bottom of the sea. But it may very well be within their reach, or they could simply hire or take over one of these ghost fleet ships that are scurrying around the world's oceans. There's tons of them. A ship doesn't have to be modern to carry a whole bunch of drones. That's the easy part. All it's got to do is stay floating long enough to launch the drones. Iran is, however, using up all their drones at a very fast pace. A warning came just as Trump admin launched its ongoing assault against the Islamic Republic. Iran's been retaliating with drone strikes against targets throughout the Mideast. First of all, hitting our West Coast ports would hurt. Not giving anything away by mentioning this, that's an obvious fact. They're also very obvious targets. Commercial ports really aren't defended against by drone strikes or against drone strikes. And even slowing down traffic in those ports, that would hit you and I right in the pocketbook, no doubt about it. Secondly, the Iranians may work well with the Mexican cartels. Don't forget that idea to pull something off. Exercise of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. It's a near certainty that Iran and the carrier cartels have a mutual desire to stick a thumb in our eye, especially the Trump admin. And that may very well be one way to do it. Do not discount that idea, folks. It's a long, long reach for now for Iran, especially with the hammering they've been taking. but a healthy dose of skepticism probably in order. Bill Malugin from Fox says he's reached out to the Governor Newsom's office on the matter, and the Governor office reports California has raised its security posture. We'll see. It is something to keep an eye on. It is something that very, very well may come up to bite us in our collective butts. And I had to do this story next because it's kind of related. It's not exactly the same kind of drones, but it helps. Could this be? It's a new rifle-mounted drone buster that might very well be a game changer. Oh yeah, this thing is cool as hell. Every new military technology, every new weapon, sooner or later gets countered by some other weapon or some technology. Happens all the time, every day. Armor rendered obsolete by the musket. Castle walls rendered obsolete by cannons. Battleships rendered obsolete by aircraft carriers. You see the pattern here? Well, today drones are a piece of new tech that military forces around the world are still learning how to employ and how to defeat against. Now, got a brand new counter out there. It is a rifle-mounted drone killer device. Sounds cool. New chapter in the counter-drone defense begins. Nibiru's Lyacon Subsidies completes the initial trials of a next-gen portable non-kinetic system built to hunt drones in contested airspace. This is so cool. Designed for rapid deployment, the lightweight weapon can be mounted on rifles, letting soldiers carry it and aim it with very minimal effort in the field. And it leverages a multi-wave directed energy setup that operates across green, blue, and infrared laser bands to disrupt a wide range of drone types. Now, it doesn't look exactly like some slung under the shoulder barrel of an M4, an M16, or an M203 grenade launcher. This thing, take a look. Look at that. That's it. Drone buster. I mean, it's portable for sure, but it doesn't look terribly comfortable. It is small enough to be man-carried, especially when you consider that these likely going to be issued at platoon or at the most squad level. Versatility is supported by scalable optical power from 1 to 10 watts, according to the article, paired with advanced beam control that lets operators precisely direct energy at targets. This adjustable beam ensures effectiveness both at short and long ranges, while dynamic beam regulation and precision collimation keeps the laser focused and reliable in changing conditions. Counter-drone protection become one of the most urgent priorities for defense forces. New system very capable of safeguarding personnel, vehicles, and critical infrastructure from evolving drone threats. They are definitely a part of the modern battlefield, folks. Drones are here to stay. They're not going away. In fact, they will get worse. And it is cool to see the drones that we're launching en masse at Iranian positions, reverse engineered, by the way, from Iranian drones. The Iranian drones, by the way, were also reverse engineered from, as I recall, Russian drones. So, from Russia to Iran to us, and then we're firing them back. It's kind of a special kind of screw you to the bad guys, seriously. Of course, sooner or later, something is going to come along the lines of a hardened drone going to appear that's resistant to this sort of laser system. I'm sure they will come up with something. And then someone will build a harder hitting laser system. Back and forth, it happens all the time. Around and around we go. It's called an arms race. For the time being, though, if this thing works as it's advertised, may be the ideal counter to suicide drones. Man-portable, deployable to the grunts out in the field. Nothing grunts like more than shooting stuff, and shooting stuff with a laser is a whole new level of cool. I think a regular old shotgun would probably work just as well against civilian drones, certainly. But military drones, they might require something more. Something like this might be just what the doctor ordered for the grunts in the field who have to contend with enemy drones. We'll see. The tech looks good. It's very cool. How screwed up is Virginia? Well, the answer is extremely. Virginia has passed a bill. I can't even believe I'm reading this. It requires state agencies to discriminate against white men. Requires them. Democrats in Virginia have passed a bill that directs state agencies to discriminate against businesses owned by white men when considering which companies get discretionary government contracts under $200,000. The bill, championed by idiot Democrat Gian Ward in Virginia, establishes the Small SWAM Business Procurement Enhancement Program. SWAM stands for Small Women-Owned, Small Minority-Owned, or Small Service Disabled Veteran-Owned. This measure sets a brand new race or sex quota for these businesses to get 42% of the state's discretionary spending on procurement orders, prime contracts, and subcontracts. According to the bill, if these agencies are not able to increase their use of such businesses by 3% per year, they need to develop an improvement plan in order to get it to start phasing out businesses owned by able-bodied white men from their current discretionary contracting. Whether the threshold is 100,000, 200,000, purchases may appear relatively small to the size of the government budget. As of November of 2015, however, about 80% of Virginia government's procurement purchases were at or below the $100,000 threshold. 80%. That means increasing it to 200,000 and requiring those purchases not be made by white males would effectively shut out huge swaths of business for white male-owned enterprises. This is a bill that is now a law in Virginia. The bill passed the Senate 21-19 and the House 62-36, almost entirely along party lines. It is now going to the governor's desk, and I'm sure good old Abigail Spanberger continues to prove herself the far-left radical that she is. She ran as a moderate. She ain't. I guarantee you she'll be signing that into law in Virginia. Ain't that nice? You want another ain't that nice? How about this headline? kids can now buy cross-sex hormones online in minutes. Those of us who live in a sane world, why anyone would think it is a good idea to give cross-sex hormones and other gender-affirming treatments to kids who are legally prohibited from signing a contract, drinking a beer, getting a tattoo. Trump admin has taken steps to end this practice, even major medical groups admitting it is a bad idea. Those treatments are harmful. They have irreversible effects. You can sterilize a young person this way, happens all the time, and even prevent them from having any semblance of a normal sex life when they grow up. The medical and government regulations are slowly bringing this to a halt. Enter the frauds and the scammers who are finding ways to make these substances available online. And there is nothing good that will come of this, I promise you. New report from Do No Harm reveals that American children may be able to buy harmful cross-sex hormones from online pharmacies, including foreign-based ones, without a prescription. And Do No Harm is calling on the FDA to take some action. Problem is, a lot of these pharmacies are overseas. There are 1,000,001 ways to move these substances here into the United States, and to try and slam every door, impossible. Can't happen. Chief Medical Officer at Do No Harm, Dr. Kurt Michelli, told the Center Square the report reveals how online pharmacies are able to enable minors to get cross-sex hormones with alarming ease. He told the Center Square that gender-confused kids should not be able to purchase potent experimental medications with just a couple of clicks of their mouse. Website listings on online vendors across the world to marketplaces, home-brewed hormones, which got a multitude of absolute insane pathways that bypass basic safety and regulatory oversight. This is according to Michelli from Do No Harm. These hormones carry significant risks and include effects that can be irreversible. Irreversible, meaning it cannot be undone. You hearing me? Yes, this is absolutely something the FDA should be addressing, but it is going to look a lot like a global game of whack-a-mole. It's the FDA. They're concerned with what happens inside our borders. This is coming from other places. Why is it going to be difficult? Here's why, I'll tell you. There is a lot, and by a lot, I mean a lot, of money involved in this stuff. Inarguably, a big part of the reason the whole gender-affirming industry sprang up in the first place, unscrupulous healthcare providers handed a bunch of patients who required expensive medications, expensive procedures, endless follow-up care. It's like printing money for these people. The same applies to these shady online pharmacies from other countries too, especially the added risk of little or no quality control over how, when, where these pharmacies, pharmaceuticals, these medicines, medications get produced. They're not controlled. It's a safe bet that a few, if any, of these manufacturers are conversant with, and in fact much less adhering to, 21 CFR Part 210 and 211 And it is only a matter of time before some young people are seriously hurt or, God forbid, killed by these illegitimate online drug dealers, which is exactly what they are. All of this, again, is because of a social contagion. There's real mental illness, gender dysphoria. It's behind all this. Current situation gone way beyond the actual syndrome. It's become a fad. Something like it's cool among some of the susceptible, weak-willed people. That's the part that's got to be dealt with. Seriously, you're not going to do anything about it. Like I said, it's a game of whack-a-mole trying to get these overseas. Forget it. Can't happen. You shut down the old websites, new ones pop up in 30 minutes, if that. People are going to get hurt. We have got to attack the problem right here with these idiot morons who continue to have this gender dysphoria fixation. It's insane. We do have some good news, don't we? A little bit. 37 missing teens have been rescued in an epic Southern California trafficking sweep. Folks, there are few crimes as awful as crimes that target children. You know, on this program, we cover that a lot because there is nothing as demonic as crimes involving children. Just a little bit of good news on that front. A recent concluded law enforcement effort in Southern Cal recovered dozens of missing children between the ages of 14 to 17. A sweeping operation by the Riverside County Sheriff's Office Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force, a lot of other multiple law enforcement agencies also involved, led to the rescue of dozens of missing children between the ages of 14 and 17 in Southern California and neighboring states. Sheriff's Office said in Riverside County alone, some 5,000 to 6,000 children run away or go missing every year. Jeez. Vast majority do return home not long after leaving. That's a shocking number, 5,000 to 6,000 a year, my God. But note that while an exact figure they don't know, the Sheriff's Office in Riverside County say the vast majority do come home, temper tantrum, rather than a real runaway or worse, an abduction. But this effort, this law enforcement effort, focused on those kids who did not return home. Operation Safe Return. Investigators identified 50 kids who'd been missing from 1 to 24 months and conducted extensive investigations into the whereabouts of each one of these children. When they're determining a child's possible location, multiple disciplinary team consisting of law enforcement and social services responded to the area for the recovery, which included locations in Riverside County, San Bernardino County, Orange County, LA County. This well-coordinated effort by a host of state, local, federal agencies. And what we don't see in this report, though, are the arrests. Like we're always saying, I know it's going to stick in Danny's craw, because she's always saying exactly that. Where are the arrests? If these children are being held captives by parties unknown, well, who are the parties and why are they unknown? What is their legal status? Were they taken across the border in either direction? Were they meant to be taken across the border? What kind of operation was this? Who ran it? We need to see some mug shots of these goblins who were involved with these missing kids. But we haven't. Nothing. Not a word. Crickets. There's all that vital information as well, if for no other reason than to make people like you and I, the taxpayers, feel like you're getting your money's worth. Now, returning the kids is fantastic. It is incredibly good news. But we need to take that one step further. We need to ask the question, and now what? Arrests need to happen. Congratulations to all these men and women who work so hard on this task force. Brilliant. The amount of kids that you've recovered, unbelievably fantastic. But now what? That is the question that needs to be answered. Just very quickly, this is a great one. You remember yesterday we did the story about all the Exxon leaving New Jersey and whatever, leaving California and all that stuff? Well, guess what? Washington State has passed a 9.9% millionaire tax. And guess what news came on the heels of that? The founder of Starbucks, Howard Schultz, who you can imagine has a little bit of pocket change, he's leaving Seattle. Oh, Seattle's political class. You may want to pour yourself another cup of coffee before you hear about this one. The same week the Democrats in Washington pushed through this new millionaire tax, Starbucks founder Howard Schultz announced he and his family are leaving Seattle. Goodbye. After more than 4 decades. And you know where they're going? Florida. Yeah. Oh, man. Schultz posted a very lengthy public message reflecting on his decades in Seattle, the company he helped build there, the unbelievably successful Starbucks, which frankly I think is absolute crap coffee, but you do you. Blackout coffee is the way to go. Links in our show notes. Schultz described the move as a part of a new chapter for he and his wife, Sherry. Decades spent building Starbucks, raising their family in Seattle. He said, "We've moved to Miami for our next adventure together. We're enjoying the sunshine of South Florida and its allure to our kids on the East Coast as they raise families of their own. Not to mention they don't have a 9.9% millionaire tax. Likely had a lot to do with it." And they're just going to keep going. They're just going to keep on going. Ain't going to stop. So, once again, bye-bye. Unbelievable. All right, folks, we're done. We're out of here. It's Thursday. Friday's coming up tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. I will be back again then, 9 a.m. Eastern Time for the Jay Sheldon Show. Be sure and grab one of our sponsor products and our link. If you want to just make a donation to the show, you can do that at our PayPal link, which is also in the show notes. And I'll see you again tomorrow, all right? Enjoy the rest of your Thursday.